And I have a game already.
Okay, I see it. Okay, so go ahead and comment, and I'll mute my Skype.
Okay, so it's another Caro game.
You guys are harsh. Dog playing
I
better.
am not well versed in the main line, so I'm gonna go ahead and play the exchange. Because that's the one that I'm most familiar with, and even if it's not the strongest one with the best winning chances, I'm most familiar with it, so I'm least likely to mess up horrendously.
Not very ambitious, but he has reason, so it's fine.
Okay, so I'll just castle now. This pin could be annoying, but I've dealt with it before as long as I make sure that my board isn't that I don't want to attack on the queen side too hard, like with b4. It should be fine, I think.
Still in the opening, so not much to say.
Just now I just want to get my dark square bishop out and doing something so that I can go ahead and play my knight out without it being blocked up. I usually get my queen on here. I don't know about knight d7, actually. I think that I usually see them play to c6, then try and get to b4.
Yep. So you have to watch out for bishop takes h2.
Okay, now he's threatening h2 because of that pin, so
Okay.
I'll go ahead and
Queen c2.
not let him take that. I don't want to play h3 at any point because then my g3 square would be really weak to that battery, so I think I'll go ahead and follow it. I don't know, maybe I don't need to follow yet. Maybe I could just get a rook on the e file, which is semi-open.
It's a good idea.
I do that, he's probably going to castle next. But then he does have more control over e5 than usual in one of these games, so I think I'll go with that first. He doesn't have anything yet along the c file anyway. Now I'll come here.
Yeah, so he's playing pretty standard so far. Nothing too important to report. Still kind of opening-ish, but now we're going to start to see some middle game plans.
Okay. Now here comes the tricky part. I wonder if I actually don't want to just try and double on the e file. That'd make this a wasted move, but for now he at least can't take that knight off, and he can't move that knight because I'm looking at h2.
Yep.
Okay, no longer looking at h2. Now I can either take the knight, or I think that taking is best. But then again, now I could run into problems over here. I wasn't thinking about that.
So yeah, he's thinking about taking f6.
Oh well, worst case scenario.
Okay, so
I
now
have to move my rook back.
Is he worried about bishop f4? Or is he
He's
worried
not
about
being
g5?
particularly aggressive either, and now this bishop has the same problem that I mentioned. Not playing h3 for, so
I guess moves rook back to e1.
Wonder if I could actually just sacrifice the exchange here.
He could also play bishop g3 and pin the bishop.
I don't, and he's going to open up my g file. Oh wait, no, I can just pin to the queen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can just pin to the queen.
He just realized it now. So.
Get his good bishop for my bad bishop. and continue with my doubling on the E file.
Okay, so knight trying to get to f4.
Okay, I suppose I'll need to do something about that. I have this check here now. Or else he is getting my good bishop, then he can play his bishop back there.
Go Baduk! Achievement unlocked. Okay, so knight h5, he's trying to get to f4. And he's starting knight takes g3, and then bishop takes e3. So now he has to move the rook. So he's deciding whether to move the rook to e2 to e1. I don't think he wants to take the bishop, because then knight takes f4 happens. And that's an issue.
Maybe after he gets his knight there, I could have an idea of knight d5 at some point, though. Or not d5, e5. Well, I think that taking is pretty much forced if I don't want horrible things to happen, so...
Oh, he doesn't want to double his pawns, okay. So
I will go ahead and do that. If he gets his bishop to f5, I might have knight h4 anyway.
Okay, so now he's thinking knight takes pawn. Okay, so
Okay, now that just looks silly to me, because...
He didn't expect that.
Can't I play h3?
Yeah.
Or is that hasty?
He has to worry about bishop f5, though.
Because now this knight just looks weird. And if he's taking here and letting me get my rook out at his king, that's also weird. I think I'm going to double first so that he can't move back there without first moving maybe one of the knights or something, because then this pawn would be pinned to this rook.
Okay, so he abandoned his h3 idea to double rooks first. So now he is threatening h3, which would force bishop takes f3. Because his bishop f5, he can just take on f5, and then e8 would hang. So the knight on h5 is kind of out of play, too. White would like to get a knight on e5. Also, the queen side
trades
pawns.
off the bishop for one of my knights, then maybe I could get something like bishop b5 in at some point.
Yeah, he should also notice that queen
maybe
a4
even sacrifice
wins a
it
pawn.
or not sacrifice, but trade it for that knight.
Because
Just so I could get a piece on e5.
it forks d7 and a7.
If he ever plays f6, then g6 will be weak.
So yeah, I mean, all of black's pieces are concentrated on the king side, and white has no weaknesses on the king side, so white should look to counterattack and focus on black's queen side. Okay, so now he moves his queen back.
Okay, so he's moved the queen back. And now I can force that bishop for knight trade, which I think I'm going to do now. I don't see the harm in it.
Inf dinners! It's almost as good as inf other things. Okay, so h3 is played, so now bishop takes f3 is forced, because of bishop f5, bishop takes bishop wins. So knight takes f3 now.
Okay, now take with the knight or with the rook.
So now the knight can go to e5, is what would be my idea.
I will go with the knight.
Yeah, makes sense.
Then if he hops in to harass my bishop, maybe just go for that bishop b5 idea.
Okay, so now is he going to play bishop b5? Okay. So this
And I
is
wonder
pretty equal. Half open c file versus half open e file.
how good. Well, I can't play knight e5 now, at this moment.
So is he going to take on d7, or is he going to keep his bishop and play bishop to f1?
I should probably take it off for that knight now.
Okay, so he takes. So now black wants to play b5 and b4, and try to use that
Okay, so
open
now
c
I can
file.
pop my knight in here.
And white wants to play f4 and f5. So they're both trying to use competing levers to break open the pawn chains. So black has that f6, f7, e6, d5 pawn chain. White has the b2, c3,
Okay,
d4
so
pawn
now
chain.
if I can get my queen off this file, then I'd be threatening maybe rook g3 at some point, but
So is he gonna go for an
let's play
attack?
back there for now, so maybe
So rook f3 actually wins a
d1
pawn, doesn't
to
it? Because if the knight moves, he can take on f7. I
g4 would be better.
think rook f3 looks quite good.
Or to
So let's see if he notices
f3
that.
actually.
Yeah, I think he just noticed it.
Can play f6 immediately, but
I
I
believe
don't know,
rook
then
f3
I
is
can just
strong.
play back here, perhaps. And if he starts being pushy with his pawns, then that'd be really weakening for his king. And my opponent has disconnected.
Yeah, he sure did. Yep, that disconnection. I guess I can talk to him. So he's not alone. Hey.
Hey.
I see your opponent.
Yeah, disconnected. Oh, my opponent returned.
Okay. Alright, go back to it. Alright, so he's back.
That got me some time on my clock back. Actually, queen g4 now, if he doesn't play f6, might just win some material by force. Okay, so he's played f6. I can't attack that knight because he just takes 9, and then that would cover the knight.
Yeah, so he didn't play rook f3, he played queen d1.
So now maybe knight to g4, and if he kicks it away with the h pawn, h2, f3, back to d5 at some point. I don't want to let him get d5 in himself, but... or e5. I keep confusing the two for whatever reason. Okay. I guess I'll go back here. If he really wants to weaken his king side, he can.
Knight g4.
He moves the queen off that knight, then I actually think I have knight takes here or here with check, and if he takes, I have the queen check.
He's looking at
So I don't think that he
sacrifices.
can move the queen off of the defense of that knight.